Our Moving to Spain Residency seminar. My name is Patricia Ruiz. I'm a Spanish abogada. I'm based here in Spain. We act for clients buying, selling, and inheriting properties all over Spain. And also we help them applying and obtaining residency. Today I'm joined by my colleagues, Monica and Melanie. If you intend to live in Spain for more than 3 months a year, then you have an obligation to register as a Spanish resident. If you live in Spain for more than 6 months a year, then you also become a Spanish tax resident, and you have to pay tax in Spain on your worldwide assets and income. Also, if your overseas assets are over the value of 50,000 euros, then in March you have to declare these assets in what is known as Modelo 720, Modelo 720. Today, we're going to talk about whether there is still time to move to Spain from your home country, or buying or renting a house, take up residency, and put in place health and insurance cover. And we have a nice panel of guests that will help you with your relocation. Paul, hello, can you introduce yourself and your company, please?
Hello, everyone, and hi, Patricia, and thanks very much for inviting me today. So my name's Paul Payne, and I work for a real estate company called Masa International, and we've been based on the Costa Blanca in southeast Spain since 1981. And myself, I essentially help people to either move to Spain, find a property, or second homes as well. At this very moment in time, we're almost exclusively dealing with people that are looking to move to Spain and get their residency and get in before that key date of the 31st of December. So we work with new and resale properties, and yes, and fortunately, at this moment, we're very busy with people from all over the world at the moment as well. We've got clients from Canada, South Africa, Northern Europe, and of course, Brits as well, looking to beat the Brexit deadline.
That's great. That sounds fantastic. Sarah, hello, Sarah. Can you please introduce yourself and your company?
Hello, Patricia, and hello, everybody. Yes, my name's Sarah Huntridge, and I work for BTR International. We're a UK-based move management company, and we've been established for about 30 years in the UK. But we're also part of a wider company, Writers Relocations, which is a worldwide company. And we help people move all over the world to every country imaginable. And we offer packing, freight and destination services to anybody that's wanting to move or relocate worldwide.
Anthony, can you please introduce yourself?
Hello, Patricia. Hello, everybody else. I'm Antony. I'm from a company based in Spain. We've been in Spain 16 years now, and we're G.P.S. insurance services. And I'm on here today while we do all sorts of insurances. I'll have a plug there. I'm here to talk about your private medical insurance and what's involved in it, because obviously that ties in with residency to a large degree. And that's me.
Thank you, Anthony. Well, Paul, let's start with you. As you are the one who knows about finding a property, is there enough time to find a property to buy or to rent before the end of the year?
Yes, very much so. In fact, we've implemented or shored up some procedures actually to help people to move in quickly. For example, when people are visiting us, typically we normally ask them to come with us for sort of 4 or 5 days for what we call a viewing trip, where we show them around the area, find them the property. At the moment, we're extending that for a little bit more time, and we want to really receive clients for maybe sort of 5 to 7 days to allow a bit of extra time to make sure that clients don't have to come backwards and forwards. But that's as much to do with the travel restrictions as well at the moment, so people can achieve a bit more in one trip. We're also only working with properties that have been fully legally checked out prior to marketing, prior to taking clients to see the property. So we're collecting in all of the title deeds, all of the making checks on the nota simple, ensuring that every document is in place that lawyers such as yourself will need in order to complete the purchase. So what that means is, at the moment, you know, a natural completion is normally about 4 to 6 weeks for a property that's ready to move into. We're able to actually cut that down now. We're actually moving people in. The last few we've done them in sort of 2 to 3 weeks. So there certainly is time, although the clock is ticking. But making the preparations, getting all the paperwork in order to present to the lawyers and to the notary is key, I think, to a quick and straightforward transaction.
Well, thank you. So part of your services includes showing the areas, collecting clients from the airport, etc., doing some travels. And also collecting the documents from the seller, which is very important, and I totally agree with you. It makes easier and faster all completion procedures. What are your main tips for someone looking for a new area or a new town?
Okay, it's really to be clear on what's important to you before you arrive in Spain. There are a lot of good things that you can do so you don't waste time on the ground in Spain. And that's to really formulate your brief and work with your agent in terms of what kind of environment they want to live in, what kind of people they want to have around them, any particular amenities and facilities that are important to them. We can start to rule out some areas. I always think of it a bit like the game Guess Who. You know, we start off with all these different towns, and we can quickly kind of take some out based upon whatever the requirements are of the client, and of course the budget as well, and lining up properties that are really close as possible to the requirements of the client, and not just touring loads and loads of houses. And being a single point of contact in Spain, I think, is really important as well, because it saves the alternative is a client comes by themselves to Spain, they make lots of appointments with lots of different agents, and sometimes that can lead to confusion, repeating the same properties over and over, viewing, and perhaps spending too much time looking at properties and not enough time looking at the area. So we have to balance it up between finding the right house and, of course, finding the most important thing, finding the right spot. So preparation is the key, and working with your agent prior to getting on the plane or the car at the moment, as a lot of people are driving down.
Yeah. What do you think about the market? How is the market like at the moment?
Okay, well, of course, it's been very challenging with all that's going on. We've seen those that are buying second homes, holiday homes, which normally account for about 60% of our business. There's very, very few of those customers around at the moment, because that's not something you have to do right now. And the Brexit is going to have very little effect on those types of customers. All the customers that we're seeing now are looking to move to Spain. They are almost exclusively looking for villas at the moment. We have very little demand for apartments and a big demand for villas. So we're also working very closely with all the builders as well, because we sell a lot of new properties. In fact, we sell more new properties than resale over the last few years. So we're working with the builders so that they have what we call key-ready properties, new properties that are completed, ready to move into, turnkey, furniture available, so that everything can be done nice and quickly. So the demand is for villas, and typically higher would normally see. Normally, people on the Costa Blanca for a villa are normally looking to spend $250 to $350. At the moment, we're kind of $350 to $450, so slightly higher budgets than normal. I think people are wanting their forever homes at this moment.
Yeah, of course. I see as well a lot of interest in villas and properties with gardens or nice terraces, especially in these times, no, where a lot of people is working from home as well, and that gives the opportunity to move to Spain and maybe still working, but from a nice and sunny area. So basically, if you have a good estate agent that shows you the area, explains you the location and services, finds you a very nice property instead of having a lot of appointments and spending a lot of time in not a good prepared schedule, then you suggest that you can complete in 3 to 4 weeks if it's really urgent, or even more or less that would be, no? Well, as a lawyer, I agree with you as well that we normally say 4 to 8 weeks, so that it's enough time to ensure all the documents are correct, but the time can be reduced, of course, depending on how quickly, as a lawyer, we can collect all documents. So yeah, there will be enough time before the end of this year to purchase a property, assuming that it's no obstacles in the purchase. Okay, so we have found a property in Spain, and also I have sold my UK property. Sarah, how quickly can your company assist clients with the removals, and how long does the process take?
Yeah, so as soon as have a kind of a completion date, I mean, I assume that most of the people buying property in Spain are selling property somewhere else. But if they're not, it's a lot quicker process. So if they have a completion date for the sale on the original property, and they have an idea of when they'll be purchasing the property in Spain, I would say from packing up to arrival, depending on which service you take, if your goods are going by a direct load or by road export, it only takes between 2 and 5 working days for your goods to get there. If you're going to budget more for a shared load with other people's goods going on the same vehicle as yours, it's up to 25 days. But as far as our process, we can do things very quickly. The only hold up would be we would need to survey any items going over. So as soon as we know what you want, and we can quote for those to be taken over, we can give you a price, and then you give us a date, and that's it. We're good to go. We'll just book it in and get it on the road for them. So ballpark, probably between 2 and 3 weeks from start to finish, from contacting us to getting your goods over to Spain.
And before I start packaging all my things, what do you think the client needs to take into consideration?
Yeah, I think we've sort of because everything's based on volume. I think you want to seriously consider what you want to take and what you need to take, and if there's anything that you don't need to take, maybe sell it or leave it if you're going to be renting your property in the UK out and not selling it. So budgeting for perhaps between, I don't know, £2,000 to £5,000 for your move. That way, you've got a scope for taking everything or just a few essential items you want to take. Yeah,
it's a difficult thing to choose.
Yes, that's it. It's hard. Yes, but obviously, Paul mentioned that some of the properties are furnished.
Yes.
So if they have beds and sofas and wardrobes, then you obviously don't need to take your own furniture, which would be obviously the similar type. You can just take the essentials like clothes and books and personal possessions, such as, you know, photographs and things like that. Just kitchen equipment. You wouldn't need to take a lot of the heavier stuff across, which will obviously bring the cost down to transport.
Of course. Sarah, there is some extra services that the clients sometimes request and you can offer maybe? Yes,
I mean, obviously, part of our company's services, we do destination services as well. So if the client wants some cultural orientation, help with learning languages, just things like registering with a healthcare provider, We also do school searches for people if they haven't got an understanding of the area. We have partners that are living in the area that can give them help with finding suitable schools. Anything outside of that, we have sort of recommended partners for. So obviously, if it's a legal matter, we would refer them to yourselves, or if it was an immigration matter, we would refer it to an immigration partner. So yeah, anything like that, we could. If we don't it's not our specialty, we will find someone that you can trust to go to for those.
There is a question in the chat box, so if there are some questions to make, you can write them. Mark Haywood is asking if you are allowed to take garden plants in pots, and also it would be also a good question to ask if you can move pets to Spain.
Yes, on the plant side, I think it would depend on the country's regulations. I know, I don't think it's an issue from Spain to UK. However, I don't know how the plants would survive if they were in a road truck for 25 days. Obviously, they're not getting watered or withered. So it would depend on Spain's regulations for importing the plants, because some countries like Australia and USA, they don't allow any agricultural plant seeds or anything into the country. So we would have to check on that if that would be allowed. And yes, pets, we can transport pets by road or air, and they would have everything checked before they travel. They would get a full veterinary screening, parasite medication, and obviously they would get their documentation to allow them to enter the country as well. So that would all be in with the price for the pet transfer.
Okay, fantastic. So now that you have my property, it's being in the sale proceeding, and the move of my belongings is in process as well. Melanie, can I start the residency process now?
Yes, yes, you can start the residency process now. If you're not in Spain, then preparation is key to actually get all the documents that you need, so that when you do arrive in Spain, that your residency application can be submitted electronically for approval by the Foreigners Office.
What documents do I need to bring from the UK?
If you're from the UK, you don't need to bring any of the documents, because you would actually email the documents to us, because it's an online authorization process. So they would be in PDF format anyway. So you don't actually need the originals, any of the original documents. The only thing that you need to bring is your valid passport, and perhaps bring a couple of copies of the 2 photo pages for stage 2 of the residency process.
Okay, that's great. How long does the process take?
Once you've got all your documents that we need for residency approval, and it's being actually submitted electronically for approval by the Foreigners Office, then we need to wait for that approval. Now, the official line is it can take up to 3 months for approval. However, they are approving them quicker than that. It depends on the province. So first of all, you've got the approved stage 1, which is the approval stage, and that can take anything, again, it depends on the province, from anything from, at the moment, the average between 2 weeks and 6 weeks. But bear in mind, high volumes of applications, it'll take, the average turnaround time is getting longer. But the most important thing is to meet the end of year deadline, is to actually get that residency application submitted. And then once it's approved, so you've got sort of minimum of 2 to 6 weeks there. Then once it's actually approved, then you've got another month there to actually apply for the TIE card, okay? And then you've got another month to collect that TIE card, because it isn't actually given to you there and then. So you could be looking at anything from 2.5 months to 5 months from start to finish, so from stage 1 to effectively stage 3 collection of the card.
Okay. One of the questions that many people is making themselves at the moment is if they have to be in Spain actually to obtain the residency.
Absolutely. They need to be in Spain. It's the Spanish residency law that they, in order to apply for Spanish residency, they need to be here. And they also need to prove that they are here in Spain as well.
One of the requirements will be having healthcare. So can you please explain the option for someone if it's working or retiring?
If someone is working, then they need private medical insurance with a provider that's authorised to operate in Spain. There are specific documents that are required by the Foreigners Office to see. Somebody who is retired and they're over 65 in receipt of a UK state pension, then they are still entitled. They need to ring the NHS overseas team to see if they're entitled to an S1 form. If they are, then that means that they can have access to the Spanish healthcare system. And if only one of the partners, say if it's a married couple, one of the partners is entitled to an S1 form, then the husband or wife can actually be a beneficiary of that as well. Not a dependent, a beneficiary of that. So they can apply for a joint S1 form. And currently that's taking up to 4 weeks to actually receive that. Has to go to a Spanish address. Okay, so before someone comes out to Spain, if you are entitled to an S1 form, I recommend you actually call that team 4 weeks before you are due to arrive in Spain.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Mel. Also, regarding the savings, how much do I need to have in my bank account for residency?
Okay. The first thing that you need to do is you need to prove that you have got a consistent income, okay? Because they are looking to see if you can afford to live in Spain, basically, and continue to sustain that income. So you need to prove a regular income, and that's got to be more than a minimum of €800, equivalent of €800 per month. It depends again on the province. Some provinces require slightly more. You also need to show some savings as well. It depends on the income, and it depends if your income is meeting your outgoings, then they are going to want to see some form of disposable income. So if you've got savings, and say a minimum 10,000 savings in your bank account, then prove that as well.
So because there are different areas in Spain, we have different criteria at the police station in regards of the savings that you have to have in your bank account, and also the income. But one of the requirements that it's common is proving that you are here in Spain, and also that you are linked to Spain, and that one of the things to show to authorities will be the padrón. Can you explain, Mel, a little bit about the padrón?
Yeah, the padrón is effectively the equivalent of the census, and you need to have an address in Spain, and you need to register. You need to go to the town hall, normally by appointment now, to register on the padrón, on the census at the town hall, to obtain a certificate. Okay, and that certificate is required to present with your residency application. It's not the ultimate proof, though, that you reside in Spain. It's proof that you've got an address, but you've also got to provide proof that you are actually here. And that might be, say, a Spanish bank account that you can show some spending, some everyday costs of living, and you can see some transactions in that account. And that's what they're looking for at the moment, to see that they've got genuine residency applications. And you can prove that with a Spanish bank account with some with some transactions coming in, coming out, whether it's for shopping, small purchases, and then that they can see that you're actually here.
So having all the documents together, but for example, I am not working, or I don't have access or right of access to the Spanish Social Security. That will mean that I need a health insurance. And Anthony, I think that you can give us some information about the services that you can offer, and also about health insurances. For example, if I want to get a health insurance, when does my policy needs to be enforced?
Yeah, it's a good question, Patricia. Your policy needs to be enforced at the time you actually submit your initial paperwork for Residencia. So you can't submit your paperwork with a certificate that's due to come into force 2 months down the line. It's got to be in force at the time of your initial paperwork for Residencia.
What documents do I need?
You need you've got to fill in two documents. You've got to have a health statement, and you've got to fill in an application form as well. And along with those, we need a copy of your passport. If you've got an N.I.E, then an N.I.E as well, but you don't have to have an N.I.E. So it's a health statement, application form, and a copy of your passport. Those are the documents we need from you.
N.I.E not compulsory at the beginning? And how can I get the rest of the documents quickly?
Well, the turnaround time at the moment is around 7 days from submission. So based on that, it's advisable to start the application process sooner rather than later, as applications can be held up if they're asked for medical reports. If you have any medical issues or health issues, it's advisable to request these reports prior to your application. But once the policy is issued, the certificates for Residencia are emailed out to you.
If they're going to courier the original documents, do I need a Spanish address? And does it matter that what Spanish address I put on the application form?
To answer that question, yes, you do need a Spanish address, but you can use a friend's Spanish address or a post office address in the interim if you haven't got a Spanish address. Then once you come over, then we can change it to your exact Spanish address. So you do need one, but you can use somebody else's.
So if I need my policy quicker, which payments are going to help me to get it quicker?
Yeah, that's quite a common question. You've got a number of different options for payment. You can pay by Visa card, you can pay by bank transfer, or by direct debit. But there's no difference to the issue time for any of those payment methods.
Important question as well. It's if I can pay my health insurance monthly, or I have to pay 1 year in advance.
It's annual payment is required for the Residencia applications in order to receive the correct certificate that is required by the authorities. After your first year, you can then change to monthly payments. So because you start with yearly payments, you're not stuck to it. You've got to pay upfront for a year. After a year, you can then change it to monthly or quarterly payments, or stay with yearly payments. But the first payment is upfront for the year to get the certificate.
Okay, so as long as the first year it's paid in advance, then after that I can change.
Correct. Yes.
Anthony, is there any implications of not maintaining the medical insurance for 5 years?
Yeah, this hasn't been confirmed as of yet, Patricia. However, it has been talked about that when applying for your permanent residency after 5 years, that proof of your previous 5 years health insurance may be required. So that's the official statement on that one. Hasn't been confirmed as yet, but it's more than likely, yes, they'll want you to prove that you've been covered for the last 5 years.
Last question will be, do I need the N.I.E number for the insurance?
No, because a lot of people are in the boat where they don't have their N.I.Es, but they're putting their health insurance in order as they're processing everything else.
Fantastic.
So you can get your health insurance with the certificate purely on your passport.
That's perfect. Thank you very much, Anthony.
No problem.
Okay, so we're going to open the session to questions. I have received another question. I think, Paul, maybe you can help. Mark Haywood has asked, or he said that he often sees the same properties listed by multiple agents. And how do you know who the main agent is, and why does it happen in Spain? You know, it's very common in Spain.
Mm. Yes, it is quite normal in Spain. In fact, in many countries, I think perhaps the UK is perhaps runs a little differently. But in Spain, much like in the States, you find that there's a listing agent, and the properties often go into like a big pool, which all the different agents share. How can we find out who how can a potential buyer find out who the original listing agent is? Almost impossible. Really hard to do without calling every agent and asking them if they are the listing agent. From our own point of view, I mean, you find that this is perhaps more so, particularly on the Costa del Sol. This is how it works. It's very, very standard. On the Costa Blanca, it's becoming more common. Ourselves, we do work a little differently with our resale properties. 99% of them are our own listings, and we don't tend to share those with other agents, because it's actually very hard to get listings. Listings is actually tougher than selling the properties. And that also enables us to control what we spoke about earlier, collecting all of the right paperwork in to ensure that a property purchase can go through very quickly. If we're working with other agents' properties, that becomes more difficult because perhaps not everybody collects in the paperwork. So, in answer to your question, yeah, very, very difficult. But that's how you will find it. It often operates, agents sharing listings.
Coming back to the pet transfer, Sarah, I have a question. How much is the pet transfer? And is asking for a cat. I think might be also depending on the size of the animal.
Yes, so what we would need is origin address and destination address, and the breed and weight of the cat and the age of the cat. But what we would say is, if anybody wanted to make an inquiry on how much it would be without committing to it, we're happy to do a free, no obligation quote. So as long as we've got that information to collate, we can give you a price on application. It would be valid for 30 days. Because obviously, if you're going to be transporting a cat by air freight, the air freight changes regularly on costs due to fuel and surcharges. And even with the road freight, it can depend on, fuel for the vehicle, and also the amount of time it takes to transport. So I can't give you a ballpark, because I haven't quoted for a cat yet, only a dog. So yeah, if anybody wanted to know specifically, it's best to get an accurate quote, and then if you want to go ahead with it, then we would book that for them. But if you just wanted to have an idea, we're happy just to give a quote to give you an idea for what to budget to when you're ready to go.
There's another question. U.S. citizen here with German residency permit. I have lived in Germany for about 2 years. How would this affect qualification for health insurance? Anthony, do you want to take this one?
Yes, hi Don. With you being a US citizen and with you having lived in Germany, when we're looking at it from a private medical insurance point of view, it makes no difference. What is the main concern is, do you have any pre-existing conditions when it comes through to private medical insurance and age? So there's different categories, but just because you're American, they're not going to charge you any more, I promise you. So to answer that question, it makes no difference from a private medical insurance point of view where you come from or where you've lived prior to taking out prior to applying for medical insurance. There we go. Don's come back to me. No medical conditions, excellent. So you won't have any problems on that side. We'll be able to get you through. Age 56, perfect. You're not over the 65 bracket, which is where the price generally has a tendency to increase because you're more likely to have problems with health coming forward. At the age of 56, Don, and you're healthy, not a problem at all getting you health insurance, none whatsoever.
I have received another question for Sarah. Have you noticed any problems shipping because of COVID regarding animals? And also, will there be any issues after Brexit with importing items?
As far as transferring freight, we've had no issues at all. In fact, freight's been moving freely. The only issue might be when the crews get to the destination, they may have to be careful that there isn't anybody that they're delivering to that's been in contact with COVID. If they have, they can't deliver. But otherwise, the crews would use personal protection equipment when they're delivering to a household. As far as pets, I don't think there's been any issues with pets either. And I don't know about the Brexit question. I think that would be something I'd have to look into. But we have our experts in the pets transfers that would be able to advise if that's going to change in the next coming year or not. I know a lot of people have already got pets with pets passports, and they're all chipped and registered, and regularly move their pets between the countries. But I would need to get advisement on the Brexit matter on that. Yeah.
So another question, Melanie, maybe you want to take this one. It's a UK citizen. Is there going to be any real difference with obtaining residency before the 31st January, date of Brexit, or after? Surely the process will be the same as for a non-EU citizen, and that process is established already. What difference is there likely to be? What do you think?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because at the moment all we know is the procedure for non-EU citizens, and that's the only procedure we can follow at the moment until such stage that the UK and the EU Commission and Spain have some form of reciprocal agreement. Will it be like Norway, or will it be like somebody who's from the US, South Africa, and they get treated in terms of the process exactly the same? So ongoing negotiations there, absolutely nothing confirmed on that can give us any indication if UK citizens will be treated exactly the same as other non-EU citizens. And if they are going to be, then the process is going to be a lot more onerous than it is now.
So for all UK citizens that are looking to come to Spain, to live here in Spain, the sooner the better to put the residency applications going on. And so we know at the moment the process is cheaper and smoother and easier as long as you have all the documents in place beforehand. Another question. Should I decide to become a resident of Spain, would I need to start the process at the Spanish Embassy in Berlin, where I currently reside, the US, where I'm citizen, or directly with GetSpanishResidency.com?
Okay, so if you are if you're a US citizen, and you don't have dual nationality, then you actually need to apply at the Spanish consulate in your home country, first of all, to obtain the residency approval for residency visa. So similar documents to what for just for non-EU citizens, it's the same things, providing proof of financial resources, but at a much higher level there. The private medical insurance. So it's all the same requirements, but you need to get approval in your home country. And once you've got that approval, then you can actually come to Spain to apply for the residency card.
So best thing, Don, if you want to get information in your case, contact us on getspanishResidency.com, and we will be pleased to advise you accordingly. Any other questions?
There's a question here about if I were to purchase a property before the 31st of December with the intention to spend more than 3 months but less than 6 in Spain, when applying for residency, do all the same conditions apply with regard to minimum income, savings in bank, or does the fact that I'm a homeowner, swallow, eliminate the need for those? You still need to provide, if you bought property before the 31st of December, and so you're applying as a non-tax resident, basically, because you're going to be spending less than 6 months in Spain, then yes, you still need to provide proof of income and savings in the bank. But the fact that you have got a property strengthens your application, and also presumably a Spanish bank account there as well. So, but once again, it depends on the province where you're applying, because some provinces only require 3 months, for example, bank statements as proof of financial resources. So, whereas other areas require 6 months. So, depends which one.
Anyway, if you go to the website of getspanishResidency.com, there is a lot of information already there, and a fact section, which I think you will find very useful. Well done. If you are going to work in Spain, depending on the activity, if you are going to work on your own, you will have to register as self-employed. So I think the best will be for you to contact us, send us your details and your plans to come to Spain and get the residency, and we will revert to you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today, especially to our guests.
Nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you.
And hope to see you soon.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.